My name is Hannah Rubenstall. I am the crafter over at Fanciful Spaces, and today's video is brought to us by cutcardstock.com. This video is showcasing their glitter cardstock. To start with, I have a canvas panel from a big box retail store that I am painting a pastel rainbow sort of background using some Dilutions paint. Not all of my paint was in the same color saturation. So off to the side of my workspace, you can see I am adding some white acrylic paint, and I'm just toning down the vibrancy of some of those much brighter colors and doing a lot of color mixing on my canvas. It's really, really easy just to get the look that you want without a whole lot of stress if you just let the moment flow and mix as you will. It doesn't have to be color mixing. It doesn't have to be this huge crazy deal. And I was just really enjoying making a pretty rainbow ombre thing. I like rainbows. Unfortunately, I lost some of the yellow in this, but that's okay. I don't think the finished project is missing it. Next, I am taking some of the new Tim Holtz Distress Archival inks, and still keeping within that rainbow fashion, I'm just making some streaks here and there just to add a little bit of contrast. Kind of wish that the yellow I had wasn't the fossilized amber and maybe more squeezed lemon, but that's okay. I'm sure those colors will be coming soon, and my rainbow will be so much brighter. And the finished project, you don't really see this. I totally could have skipped it. But when I was doing this, I didn't actually know for sure what the finished project would look like. So I am showcasing the steps that I took to get here. Next, I am taking some matte medium, and I had stamped these stars onto some deli paper using some black archival distress ink. And now I'm just tearing it off and making a sort of collage and adhering them with that gel medium. I was working and my ink was still wet, so I had to step back, let it dry some. It doesn't dry automatically, so I had a really black inky fingers. And here I am just collaging on. There was some overlap in my deli papers, and that really did annoy me. I wished I had thought about it further. You'll see it right here in the where the two pieces overlay on top of each other. I was more careful with the second and the third pieces of deli paper, and the placement of my text was actually dependent upon covering as much of that line as I could. Really, really annoyed me that I made that line. You can avoid it easily if you're just a little bit more careful than I am. The gel medium, if you don't know about it, acts like a glue. It is super awesome. You can get gel gloss, you can get gel matte, and the matte medium gloss just sort of, as far as I am aware, are relating to how shiny it is, the finished project is. So here we have the finished canvas with the dry gel medium and deli paper, and I lost some of those archival stripes, so I'm bringing them back again. Again, totally thought we were going to see them in the finished project. So this step was important to where I thought the project was going, but in hindsight, totally could have been left out. This was my process though, and since I am new to mixed media and I am catering to those who might be new to mixed media, I decided to leave that bit of the video in. The Crafter's Workshop makes this amazing product called Shimmery Goodness. It says on the bottle that you need this stuff. You truly do need this stuff. It is by far the most amazing product I have ever used. I love it. I love all things shiny. So here I am painting it on. Again, I'm working on a project. I was envisioning the outside being very, very white, vignetting to white. And this step was very important for me to get to where I ultimately went, but I wasn't happy with this step. It sat on my desktop for a while, and it was just too jarring where the white started and the color stopped. And I liked the shimmeriness. It just wasn't working, and I was trying to figure out what I needed to make this more mixed media-y. So I'm going to cover over a bunch of this a little bit later on. This stencil is from Faber-Castell. I bought it at a big box retail store on clearance. I really liked the sentiment, design your life. It fit really well with where my headspace is. And I didn't measure where I put this like at all, because I knew that all the other mixed media elements were going to mask if it was slightly off center. And what was most important to me was that I covered that seam as much as possible where my deli paper was overlapping. So off camera, I painted in the sentiments using some Dina Wakley paint and some Prima paint. My little one was sick, so while she and I were snuggling on the couch watching cartoons, I just did this while she was in my lap. And then I needed to pop out those letters, so I took a micron pen and I outlined all of the rest of the letters. You can see what a huge difference it makes, but it still needed more, so we're going to come back to the outlining of the letters a little bit later on in the video. Texture on the outside. Remember when I said I needed some texture, some mixed media-y texture? This is the worn linen expanding mousse from Tonic Studios, and I'm using one of the Tonic spatulas to spread it on, sort of like different amounts of buildup. Some places was really thin, some places was really thick. And then to activate it, you use a heat gun. And my Ranger heated tool wasn't working fast enough for me, so I pulled out my embossing gun, and you can see how it bubbled up the corners. I did have some bubbling of some of the layers underneath heating up. It really wanted to pull the deli paper off of the canvas if I wasn't careful, so I did have to keep moving it around. But you'll notice that you get more cracking and crazing where the expanding mousse is applied more thickly than others. So it added a lot of variety, the fact that I was doing different amounts of consistency. These are some three-dimensional stars from using the glitter cardstock from cutcardstock.com. And I had been just sort of placing them around, trying to figure out what steps I was going to take, how I was going to lay everything out. Oh, more shimmery goodness, because it wasn't white enough. This project sat on my desk because of that sick kiddo for a really long time, and it went through a very long, ugly phase, and this would be one of them. Even though the shimmery goodness made it super duper pretty, the juxtaposition between that white and all of the rainbow busyness was just too much. Again, super ugly phase, even though the shimmery goodness was so pretty. It was at this point that the project took on a completely different direction because I realized that my white vignetting wasn't working for me. So I had to figure out how to break that color barrier down, and that's when this project took a much more amazing turn. So before I start gluing everything on and taking this project in that turn, I took some more Dina Wakley paint. I think this is the night color. And I'm just going around and I'm outlining all of my letters and fading it out with a little bit of water. I am sorry that my head is in the way for some of this. It required a little bit more precision. And going along the outline of the letters is really what helped bring them to focus before you can kind of tell they're getting lost in that busy background. So this helps like just make those letters pop, the message of the piece just pop a little bit more. This is probably one of my favorite things about painting, is just making these shadows. I just really enjoy it. And while I was doing it, it reminded me of when I was a painter in theater. And we used to do this technique a lot, only on a much larger scale. And it just always made me happy because it feels like magic when these letters just pop off the page with the teeniest amount of paint in water. So pretty. So I went through, did all the letters once, but some of the letters were a little bit darker on the outlines than others. So I am going back over again and just to bring those shadow areas to to be a little bit deeper in color. So just because you do it once and it doesn't work out doesn't mean you can't go over it and do it a second time. And that's exactly what I did here. The stars from my cut cardstock glitter paper are actually from a Catherine Pooler stamp set or stamp and die set. So I cut out a variety of different sized hearts from the Starlights die set, I think. And here I am scoring them down the center using a Teflon bone folder and my score buddy. I'm just taking the point of one end of a star down to where they join on the other end, and then I'm gluing 3 stars together in order to make a 3-dimensional star. Tonic's Deluxe Adhesive is by far my favorite adhesive, and it dries clear and it dries matte, so you won't really see it very much, and it immediately grabs onto them, and I love, like, adheres, and I super duper love it. So I didn't do all of the stars 3D. I left some of them flat in order to add some dimension, and the flat ones the silver wasn't working. So I took some Lindy's sprays, and at first I sprayed them, and then I was dabbing them around, and I just played around until I got a certain level of color that I was liking. The Lindy's sprays, even though they're super shiny, they do dull the glitter of the cardstock down just ever so slightly, but you can still see some of that shimmer through, and what it does is it really allows a little bit of contrast for those 3-dimensional stars to pop out, and makes it a heck of a lot more special. Now I am taking some, I think this is the Glimmer Paste or Glitter Paste from Tonic Studios, and I'm just adding bits of color in them, or around the white area. Again, I'm trying to break that white area up. The really great stuff about this glitter paste is that it's super glittery. Not all of them of these pastes are iridescent in their glitter properties, but these 3 were. In fact, the white is called Moonstone, and it is by far the prettiest and most flexible. If you only have money to buy one of those, I would totally buy the Moonstone. The stars still needed a bit more color. They needed to be toned down a little bit. Also, adding color to those stars will help break that white rainbow line that I have going on there. It will help break it up and make the transition look a lot more smooth. So it was a really important step to do that. Now I am sort of placing my stars where they're at. I have a bowl of various embellishments that I might use, and I'm just trying to figure out what I'll do where. There was a little bit of ribbon there, not the crocheted stuff that you see, but some nylon stuff that I found at Walmart of all places, and I sprayed that with Lindy's paints too, the same colors that I use for the stars, and that helped continue the color, the same colors that I'm using. These are some sequins from Lindy's Little Things, and I am just using a crystal katana to pop them onto my canvas using some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. What I did was I just randomly put a bunch of dots of adhesive, and anywhere there was a dot of adhesive, I stuck a sequin, and I didn't pay too much attention to placement. I just went crazy. Again, I'm trying to break down that color barrier between the rainbow background and the white, and I'm trying to make it look seamless, which is why I needed to go into just the rainbow area. I need a little bit of that color to carry through to help break that line down. I just think it added such a touch. I'm also going to go through and add some little stars that I have. They're also from Lindy's Little Things. It'll be in the blog post. Go check out the blog post and you'll see which products I used. Super duper love that I could carry on the stars from the deli paper, the stars from the cut cardstock, and the stars in the form of a sequin. It just made everything so much more cohesive. And again, I did it the same way with the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, just randomly placing dots everywhere and then sticking a little star sequin everywhere. Probably the only colors out of most of these sequin mixes that I skipped was white. I was really focusing on the colors. So I did want to take into account that little difference. For the stars, what I did was the flat stars got that ribbon on them that I sprayed with Lindy's. I hot glued half of the background of a star, and then I adhered the ribbon to the back of it. This allowed me to just one step apply an embellishment and stick it on my work surface without having to fuss and hide some of the aspects of the ribbon that I might want to hide, like the seams. Before I did that, I took some of the Dream Drops from Tonic Studios. These are new. They're very iridescent. And I just added some of the colored Dream Drops to my work because it just added such an extra level of embellishment prettiness to the whole project. I have learned in these projects that more is always, always better. Look how pretty these are. They look like little star ladies with their little ballerina dresses. All right, this is the finished project. I super love the sentiment, the encouraging sentiment, and I hope you liked this project. All right, have a great day and don't stop creating.